My name is Heidi Nielsen, and I've been with the organization for 15 years as a frontline support worker, anti-violence worker. My role here has been working at the front line, being that first point of contact for people coming in general, supporting people, and then referring them, giving resources and community for where they can get the support that they need.
I'm Susie Soman. I'm the Community Program Manager for PearlSpace, and I've been doing this work about 30 years. 3 years with PearlSpace. Do frontline work as well as sexual assault support.
My name is Claire Barnes, and I'm a specialized resource worker here at PearlSpace for their sexual assault services program. I've been working and volunteering in community since I was 16, so just coming up on 10 years. And I've been lucky to be volunteering with this organization since June, and I just started my role here about a month ago.
Now I'm doing support groups and running sort of wellness programming. Not only am I providing that crisis support when people are coming in, but also offering groups. As a support worker, I'm not offering therapy. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm a crisis support worker. I do have a basic certificate, a basic counseling skills certificate, but I'm not a therapist. So that's, when I sit down with a client, it's like 15, 20 minutes for them to share with me what's current for them, what's happening for them, and then how can I support you today, And then moving forward from there, right?
Counselors that are finishing and doing their practicum, and we have them do their practicum here.
Yeah.
We have 2 right now, so that means we're able to offer our participants free counseling from now until April. And we've consistently been doing that over the last couple of years. And we also have a counseling assistance program. So somebody's working with a counselor already, and if they are just not able to afford that, or they can't, there's no more sessions left on their benefits, they can pay a small amount and we will cover the rest for them to continue. So that's key in their healing as well. Honestly, I know that we can't do what we do without great support. And so we're lucky in this organization that as we're supporting survivors, we also get support ourselves. And we have a real belief here that we need to take care of each other to do this work.
As a resource worker, I'm more frontline. So how I support survivors of whether it be violence or sexual assault, providing like practical resources and providing them their information so that they can make an informed decision. So we like to meet the survivors where they're at in their journey, and if they just want to come in, meet us and then leave, or come in again and go through the process step by step. We're there along the way wherever they would like to be. It's very trauma informed and person centered.
One of the things with our sexual assault support services is that we have a 24/7 support line. Anyone can call us, and there's a team of 5 of us that work throughout the corridor. So any survivor, RCMP, nurse, emergency, paramedic, anyone could call that line and we would answer and attend and decide what needs to happen next. It may look like we're meeting someone at the hospital or the RCMP station, or we may, if we don't have a sexual assault nurse examiner, sometimes we have to transport people to Vancouver General for that. So we would do that as well.
And if they were from a northern community, to have to drive all the way in the same clothes,
Yeah. We have a transition house that has just gone under construction to expand. It's just gone under a large expansion, and it has gone from 3 bedrooms to 8, as well as a coach house in the back. We may have the opportunity to let someone have a few days there, rest, and then move through what the rest of the support may look like for that survivor. After you've been assaulted, you have a few choices to make, and that may or may not be receiving medical care, or receiving medical care but not wanting to do a full exam. So we're never going to pressure someone into doing something they're not comfortable with. And that may or may not mean reporting as well. And sometimes that's something that they want to have happen right away, and sometimes it's not. And then, of course, we have a third-party report. And that is also an option where someone can tell their story, get it on paper, but that's an anonymous report that we send to the RCMP, but we hold back identification so nobody knows who that person is. And sometimes it's just questioning the process.
We're here to support them in what they identify as how they want to move forward and what are the things that they want.
And sometimes it can take years, right? It could be 2 years, 3 years before somebody's really willing to make that choice. So with the sexual assault support program, we have that time. We know and have that understanding that it takes time.
And in Canada, there's no statute of limitations on sexual assault. So if a survivor wants to come to us, as Susie said, years later, we can still provide that emotional support piece or the third-party report piece or bringing them to the RCMP. At that moment, they wouldn't be able to go do a forensic exam because the evidence is gone. But any part of the process we can help them with.
Because I was on call for SAS for 3 years and started in 2020, so during COVID, actually September of 2020, we noticed a lot more historical sexual abuse was coming forward, and we believe it's because people had more time at home and more time to think, and it really mental health issues really became apparent during COVID, and I think that for some of our survivors, it was a way to finally start to look at that and how we could support them through that. And so we've had several cases like that over the last few years. You're not yourself for some time, and I notice that there's always a worry around money and how they may need to support themselves.
So Victim Services has
Yeah.
a small pocket of money to support them with counseling and
Anything they may have lost in the assault as well.
yeah.
Because it's specific for survivors of sexual assault, if you do a forensic exam, your clothes are taken and not given back to you. So if there's anything you've lost in that process, you can apply for their assistance fund and get it replaced.
Yeah.
Or if something was broken during the assault, like a phone perhaps.
Right. But the good stories and the positive stories, because there's countless women who have come through programming, successfully left those relationships. Yeah.
And we serve generations, right? We've been over 40 years, PearlSpace has been supporting.
Oftentimes they're coming in just because they want the connection and they're lonely and they may not have that social network outside of this space, because a lot of vulnerable people don't necessarily have great family support systems or great friend support systems. And that's where we can step in and be that void if that's what they're needing. What we like to do especially for frontline is like any interaction is like have them going away feeling lighter or better than they did before.
Yeah.
We may not be able to fix all of their issues in that one session, but we just want to lessen the load a little bit.
Sometimes they think they don't need it. No, we don't need, it's not that bad. And we're always reinforcing that they may just need something for a short amount of time. And that's okay.
There is definitely some of that where we see where somebody will say well, someone else needs it more. I don't want to take that because someone else needs it more, but I happen to know that they could really benefit, right? So just a hope is that there can be this reduction of stigma around coming in and asking for help. I think it's really hard for people sometimes to ask for help, but I think it's so important to be able to come through the doors, and that's I'm sure we've recently rebranded. We were the Women's Center for many, many years. Now we're PearlSpace, and the whole point is to proclaim our inclusivity. Come through the doors. This is a safe space. You are welcome. How can we support you?
So I know that we do see a diverse demographic, so it's really great that the brand kind of reflects that. But here at PearlSpace, I know that all of the people that are employed here are operating from the same core values. And I think that really is a strength, is when you're receiving services, to know that no matter who you come to, they're all operating from the same perspective and they have the same goals to help survivors.